I don't know why.
And here's Sting.
And here's and tonight's musical guest is Sting.
That's how I knew he was a sociopath.
There we go.
Switched.
What's wrong with
Perfectly
Sting? Nothing.
Oh, nothing. That's when he had the freak out. And then
Oh.
Bill O'Reilly's like, anyway, here's Sting. And it's like,
What?
no, I saw you throw a tantrum.
We all saw.
We
you
all
throw a
witnessed
tantrum,
that.
my man.
Yeah.
We all saw that.
Who's calling it? Who's calling it? Who's calling it? Who? Yeah. OVO Sound 2025. Who's calling it?
Is it Stacy? Is it Becky? Is it Keisha? Is it Effie? Was it Danny? Is it Party? Where's the function?
Where the function? Where the function? The way I feel right now.
Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody. How are you all feeling? It is a cold but outstanding Monday to be with you all. Yes. Very, very excited to be with you all. Yeah, this look at our new background.
Wow.
Sixers. Look at
We
all
already
of
got
it.
commenters popping off. I love it.
We're fucking after it. Hey, real quick, spoiler warning. We're going to talk about Captain America Brave New World. I had to put, there it is. Love that.
Ooh, Marcus,
Perfect.
looks good.
Crisp. Soup's crisp. Super crisp. A soup's crisp. Who am I?
I love it.
I had to put Brave New World in the title of the stream, or I was going to call it New World Order again.
New World
Still
Order.
struggled. There are some highlights from Marcus and I's watching of things I said in the middle of the theater that are top tier
Oh, I
Doug
can't
Wagner.
wait.
Top tier Doug Wagner foot and mouth. Like that is exactly
Oh, I
what
can't
they
wait.
are.
It's a perfect movie to do it too, because it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, whatever.
I wouldn't shut up during this movie with Maggie.
Me neither.
So,
Yep.
yeah, I get
Yep,
it.
We were full theater. Thank God we were in our usual spot.
Yep.
So because otherwise it would have been a problem. So here we are. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna play a little catch that quotable. I'm also gonna drop another Black History Month fact on you, which I'm very excited about. But in order to do it well, in order to do it right, we need to make sure everybody's thoroughly welcomed and brought into this space. So I'm gonna turn it on over to Marcus J. Destin, aka More Transformers. How you feeling, sir?
Oh,
Up the Transformers. I want more Transformers. And then when you make more, I want even more Transformers. You know what I mean? That's how I'm feeling. I feel like it's been a while since we've gotten a Transformer movie.
yeah, I watched Transformers 1 last weekend.
I watched it twice this weekend.
That movie is really good, and I
It's
hate
good.
nobody saw it.
It has no business being that good.
It is so fucking it was so good. I said, God damn. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
I
an
could talk about
origin-
that movie for a while, so I'm gonna hold back. I'm gonna hold back right now.
It's
so
an
you can do
origin
your thing.
story that nobody knew we needed.
Yeah.
Like it's a nobody sat here and said like, "Gee, I wonder why Optimus and Megatron are
Right.
fighting." And now it's like, "Oh shit, no, they're for a reason." Like,
And validated reasons that weren't forced at all. Like, yeah, hell yeah.
no,
Well executed.
yeah, very, very
And
well executed.
Scarlett Johansson gives a performance that she could have totally phoned
Yeah,
in.
I
and
did
then
not know that at all.
Take
Same
it in,
with-
and you're like, I want to see that in person. Like,
Yeah.
it was such a good performance. I want to see it in person.
Yeah.
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 So Scarlett Johansson, feel free to dress up in a robot costume and give us the same
Hold on.
movie because we pay for that.
Look, I know she has a kid. She's got to do Halloween. Like, she's got to. I mean, at some point, a parent has to do like the matching costumes, right? For I don't know.
Yeah.
I would assume.
I mean, I would assume so too. But
I don't know. But Roman said, holy shit, did you guys get more top tier Patty family members bringing out all the stops tonight? No, Roman, we did not. However, you can join right now if you're listening. You can join our Patty family for just the cost, actually cheaper than a cost of eggs or coffee now.
Yeah.
So,
eggs in particular.
Wow.
eggs, but both,
Golly.
our second tier is cheaper than a large cup of coffee
Mhm.
and a carton filled with eggs. And you can support this independent podcast so that we can continue to fill our fridges
Yes.
with coffee and eggs.
No, that's
Like
perfect.
metaphorical coffee. and
Yeah,
fridge.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
look,
yeah.
whether or
I'll
not
take
we
it.
have subscribers, I'm gonna buy eggs because I like to eat eggs. So
That's where the protein's at, brother.
yeah,
Man.
that's exactly where it is. It's Brian. It's another variety of chicken. It's pre-chicken. I'm just eating the pre-chicken eggs. That's what I'm going for.
But is there hot sauce
Yeah,
attached
that's the question.
that I can put in my
100%.
mouth?
Yeah, Texas
Alright.
Pete
Oh.
or it's Cholula.
Brian,
You know, I do Cholula eggs ramen sometimes. So
Ooh.
maybe I just do eggs and hot sauce.
Man, we got to talk about the best way to cook a ramen.
fucking Chris.
Chris, don't got that generational wealth to buy eggs. Subscribe to the Patty family instead. Exactly, Chris.
That's how we
Yes.
feel about it.
Exactly.
And Brian, for the record, my breakfast is 2 ounces of turkey sausage, 2
Okay.
eggs, half a cup of egg whites, and a tortilla shell with some green dragon sauce from Trader Joe's, and I eat that every morning.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I miss it when I don't eat it. It's like 45 grams of protein, Brian.
Healthy fuck.
Yeah, we're gonna trade. We're gonna trade.
Roman
recipes
Lettuce
here.
says sometimes Brian buys coffee for Patty family members.
true.
He needs that money. That's
It's
very
true. That's how much I care about our fans.
Get his coffee. I know we
Family
sent it,
members?
but it was like,
He did.
hey, it's not gonna get there till February.
He
Like,
did.
did it
Oh,
never
Like,
show
it
up?
was like a month. I don't know what was happening.
That is
It was
true.
so weird, and I
Okay,
was like,
guys.
Roman's gonna think I'm trying to duck out on this.
Bro,
No.
Brian told us ahead of time in case there were any issues. He's like, listen, guys, I bought the coffee.
I bought it, but
It's
it's gonna take a
not gonna
minute.
get there. It's gonna take a while. Yeah.
But Brian Roush, Eric, aka Top Gun Cap, how you
That's
feeling, sir?
Man, I'm feeling good to be here.
No,
I'm
not during Black
I'm
History Month.
I do need to say that it is also cold here
No.
in the Chicago
No.
area.
No.
Oh wow! I just looked at the comments, not addressing that, so I can stay on topic. The sheriff, the Top Gun Cap sheriff, is here.
Good.
However, yeah. Anyway, it's cold. It's cold
What is
here in the
it?
Chicago area, and I know next week it's going to warm up to 40. But like, I'm feeling it. Like, there's always a point in the time in the winter where no matter how often you've been around cold weather, you just hit a point where you're like, and I'm done.
That's
I'm
enough.
done.
Yep.
And
Yep,
this is
right now.
that
Mhm.
point. It's February 17th,
I've
which
done
I
it.
think is pretty good. But yeah, I'm good. I want to go run outside. I'm ready to do that now. I'm good.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you could, but your lungs would be on fire after.
there's
like 2
so much
seconds.
ice too
Yeah.
here that like I just feel like I'm begging for like a funny story to happen to me where it's just like you won't believe I got a weird mark on my face because that's what would happen. It wouldn't be a sprained ankle or anything. It would be like the mark of like Skeletor somehow by my eyebrow. And they're like, what happened there? Yeah, it's gonna be super cold tomorrow. Yeah, so just
Same for
I'm gonna
us.
try to
What
make it
the
the
fuck?
first marker from Echo Base. So feeling cold, but super happy to be here to talk about this movie. I've been thinking about this movie for days. Saw it opening day with Maggie, and I was telling the guy I wouldn't shut up about this movie while we were in the theater. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Absolutely.
How about you, Doug? How are you feeling?
Real good.
back of
My
my head.
AKA is the back of my head because
Oh,
here's a situation that let me bring you into the bald man
That's
world
so
for just a
silly.
moment.
Oh,
So
okay.
I shave my head with
course.
shaving cream and a razor. Now,
Excellent.
if you've ever shaved your beard or your face and you have that new razor and it gives you a little nick, he's checking out while I'm telling this story.
Yeah. Marcus has
is
a
fine.
book right
Which
now.
is fine.
Okay, I'm listening.
You can nick the back of your head and it looks all awful. I
Oh.
don't use a mirror to cut back there. I just have it
Sure.
now down by
Sure.
feel because I've
Yeah.
been doing it for a while.
I get it.
And I did it on Friday, and ever since I did it, I feel like people were like staring at the back of my head. So much so, like it happened in the theater. And Marcus goes, "It's a dark movie theater. No one can see the back of your head." And I kept going, like, "Yeah, but they might. Like, I don't know. Like, it's like one of those things I just continuously got self-conscious about. That's where
I get it. You know what? I get it.
Yeah, and I get it too. I understood it when he was asking, but it was like he was really self-conscious about it, and nobody even noticed. Like
I
nobody.
haven't said anything."
Yeah.
nobody
That
said
says a
anything.
lot. It says a lot. It's a.
And Roman, I would gladly film a video of me shaving my head to see you all could see what goes into it, if that would get more Patreon subscribers.
I'm really nervous when we get more Patreon subscribers that the Patreon will be what Roman is asking for all of these random things,
And then we'll lose
Right.
all of our
that it would-
Patreon.
they'll hop in there and be like, "What the fuck is going
I
on
thought
in
this
here?"
was a movie podcast.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway, what you don't wanna
38-year-old. It's this 38-year-old man playing a horror video game and just being really scared for 30 minutes.
He just keeps screaming.
Oh man, I would.
I would watch the fuck out of that.
so much.
Yeah,
I'm playing a scary game right now, so this is.
Are you, Brian? You should film yourself and just post it on Twitch.
No, I
No.
I swear so much.
No.
I swear so much, and I don't look cool doing it. Like Maggie
No.
can tell you, the Resident Evil Village tested me, and there was probably a good reaction if I recorded myself at one point in that game because it's like a WTF moment. But then I got really angry and I just said the F word for like 3 minutes straight. Because I don't think this is a spoiler, but like you have to go into a house and there's dolls everywhere. And they have knives.
No, thank you.
And then all of a sudden, like
What a
this something,
setup.
I'm just gonna say something happens. And then they just come at the screen, and like instead of holding a gun, you just have this talking doll stabbing you in the hand, and they don't go away until you get out of the house. It's one of the most scary things I've ever had.
Brian,
That is the
am
highest
all
tier.
set.
The highest tier is watching Brian just curse up a storm of the
An
Patreon.
F word on air is
Yeah.
like $50 minimum.
That's like
gold,
gold, baby.
I don't want to like start pimping Brian's vocabulary out,
Like,
but you know.
Tell Doge to come inspect this bitch. See if
I
this
have
is
choice
efficient.
words for that.
See if this is very
organization.
efficient.
Yeah.
This is like gold, baby.
But gentlemen, before we get into Catch That Quotable, as I have been doing the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I don't know how long. Subscribe to Brian's Only Swears.
And instead of me taking pictures, I just
It's
record
hilarious.
audio clips.
Yeah,
just going
Hey,
off.
what do you
Only
think of this?
Swears
Hey,
is
what do you
hilarious.
think of this? Bullshit. Like, that's Brian laughing after. But over the course of February, I have been highlighting Black voices to celebrate Black History Month. I found out in the theater that I am not allowed to do this. So this is something I discovered.
Do what?
Do what?
Nobody said you couldn't do the fist. It was what you was throwing the fist up for when we were. It was not fist time.
I thought it was
fist time.
Yeah, I'm still learning when it's fist time.
No, you can throw your fist up.
Okay. Fist time is making me laugh, but I'm going to stay on message.
Put your fist up. Put your fist up.
Hey, everybody, it's fist time. Not my house. Not my
Man,
house.
I feel self-conscious when I do Wakanda Forever. So yeah, I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah.
Double fist.
Okay, but I want to talk about the stop saying fist time. Oh my god. I want to talk about the first African American actress to win an Oscar. Her name was Hattie McDaniel. She won for her role as Mammy in Gone with the Wind that came out in 1939.
Yes.
She was also the first. She has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She was inducted into the Black Filmmakers Hall of Fame in 1975, and 2006 became the first Black Oscar winner honored with a U.S. postage stamp. Here's the thing. Outstanding voice, outstanding actress. And she was an actress in a time where we were really like in the throes of our racial system that caused such inequity and such mistreatment of African-American people in our country. Here's how fucked up it was where she was and when she won her award. So the movie came out in 1939. So Gone with the Wind came out in 1939. She couldn't even attend the premiere of Gone with the Wind because it premiered in Atlanta, and there were segregated movie theaters.
Ugh.
So if you're like, hey, that didn't happen. Nope, most certainly did. Like, absolutely did. And the other thing that was a little fucked up is at the Oscars ceremony in Los Angeles, she was relegated to sit at a segregated table on the side of the room. So there's all the like where all the white folks sat, and then there's like, hey, you're gonna sit over there. Even more so, that was fucked up about all of this is in 1952, Hattie McDaniel died of breast cancer. Her final wish was like, look, I want an Academy Award. I want to be buried in a Hollywood ceremony. That was denied because the graveyard was reserved for whites only in 1952. So this is an outstanding actress. She was also a singer-songwriter. So she has, she has a bunch of records too. I don't know exactly. I only know her I only did research into her as an actress. But yeah, she appeared in more than 300 films, but she only received credits for 83 of them. The other movies besides Gone with the Wind are Alice Adams, In This Our Life, Since You Went Away, and Song of the South. So those were all movies that she was in. She was born in Wichita, Kansas. But yeah, man, like even someone who has such a celebrated career still had to endure segregation, racism, and just general bullshit from the way that things set up back in the day. So yeah, that's Hattie McDaniel.
I'm dumber for hearing all the racist shit that she went through. Like all of the rules and policies that they just made up because people just make them up. I feel dumber, and she deserved better than that for such a talented performer. And I think also, I mean, definitely a standout during that time as well. Me personally, I don't know a lot about that time in the period of filmmaking, but I don't know a lot of other people of color that were highlighted to that extent during that time.
Well, and this was the silver age. This was the silver age of Hollywood, where you had really famous. I mean, their movies were a big deal. Like they were cultural moments for everybody. And so to exclude someone who was not insignificant in the story of Gone with the Wind. Now, Gone with the Wind is a fairly racist story to begin with.
Oh, so, for sure.
But let's set that aside for a minute. She played a pivotal role in the movie. So to leave her out because of some like shit, one person woke up and was like, "Hey, what if black people didn't watch movies next to us?" They're like, "Yep, that sounds safe and reasonable." Like that's just seems completely out of line. I also want to say this, Marcus. Put me on the main screen again. I have one thing I want to say. This is something I want to really get out.
Let's do it.
So look, everybody who gets really mad at Hollywood, and I'm looking directly into the camera, which I hate doing. But look, for everybody who like criticizes Hollywood as being woke or they're too invested in DEI, go back 10 minutes, not even 10, go back 2 minutes and listen to what Hattie McDaniel had to endure. And then go, hey, maybe Hollywood has some catching up to do. Because if you think about it, I mean, she died in 1952. That's not that long ago. No. Like, let's not sit here and say they're too woke for trying to correct previous wrongs. People can grow, people can get better, systems can recognize where they make mistakes and try to make up for them and to do better. That's the whole reason why we read a book and do all this shit. So do not for 1 second listen to the story of Hattie McDaniel and go, oh yeah, it's too woke, it's they're not in tune with reality. I would say shut the fuck up. Like politely shut the fuck up.
Preacher.
You do not understand the history of how this was.
Right.
And rant.
Beautiful. Yeah. If I had a round of applause sound, I would play the round of applause sound.
And rant.
Beautiful. And that, my friends, is what you call allyship.
And just to make sure we don't get too serious, remember when we said fist time earlier?
Yeah, we did say fist time. I also had some Black history that I wanted to share.
Yeah, Black history.
Yeah, and this one won't be as long nor serious, but Mace Windu, man.
All right.
Weird, Force-sensitive human male Jedi master,
yes,
and member of the Jedi High Council. He was alive during the Republic era. I just want to recognize that he was one of the greatest champion of the Jedi Order and promoted its ancient traditions amidst the growing influence of the dark side.
Yeah,
and he was the only one that went sword to sword, battle to battle with the old man Wrinkles. So I just want to put that back out there. That is also Black history before the whiny young man came in.
It was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. This is technically Black history, according to George Lucas.
This is exactly Black history. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, how fucked up is it that couldn't happen now? That they have to be like, well, it could happen in a galaxy somewhere else.
That Jedi, we gotta hire only Jedis by merit, please.
Yeah, that's right. And for I see Derpy comment in the Derpy Entertainment in the comments. Haven't gotten to the movie review. I think we're going to have plenty of like positive and negatives to get into, but we have some other stuff we want to cover first. So before we get into the movie review, before we dive right into it, we do have a little game that we like to play called Catch That Quotable.
Let's do it.
Catch that quotable.
The silky sounds of Marcus J. Gentlemen, are you ready for this week's quote?
Hit me.
Hit me.
Hit me.
All right. This one's short.
Oh.
It's a
Opposite
short,
of last
short
week.
and a little shocking. They're gonna
Oh.
violate me with a duck foot. That's it.
Wow.
Okay.
They're
I can't
gonna
Kingdom of
violate
Heaven
me with
this.
a duck foot.
No, I need more context.
Yeah, I
please.
have nothing. I've got nothing.
Let me see if
I
I,
don't
can
know.
find one.
I don't know. This isn't a Jim Carrey line. It might be a Sean William Scott line. It might be a Jonah Hill line.
let's
Could be an animation though.
let me
I
see if
mean,
can
Donald
find-
Duck. Maybe. Probably not.
Duckfoot. Something with a duck family.
I don't think it's Mickey. Ho, gonna get you with a duck foot.
They're gonna violate me with a duck foot. Oh,
That's
Think
sounds-
desert.
Think
Howard the Duck.
desert?
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know what this,
fair
this
guess.
is.
I mean,
Howard
I'll
the Duck
give-
would be a good guess.
I will give you a
I don't
hint
know.
on actors that are in this movie. Okay.
Think
right.
dessert or think desert. Oh,
Desert.
Think desert.
Dessert has two S's.
Sorry, my
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, but
No,
Oh.
you're fine.
This movie stars Army Hammer, William Fichtner,
Oh, this is Lone Ranger.
Marcus. This is the Lone Ranger.
Wow,
for sure.
Marcus.
For sure. I was
Well
just wondering
done.
why we haven't gotten a remake of that, but then I forgot. Oh boy, was a cannibal or something like that.
He was into
Yeah.
some.
He was into
He got
some weird. it
Into
was
some
something-
weird stuff.
He was in there.
I don't
He was,
know.
he was into some out there stuff
enough to make
He-
him have to be quiet for a while.
for a
He's like
long
selling
while.
real estate
Yeah.
right now.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
He looks
legit
like he
somewhere.
should sell real estate.
He does.
He
look like should
does.
sell
He
us.
really. He does look like he's ready to talk me into a 2.5 bath, 4-bedroom, like in Miami.
What,
He really
what,
does.
what pigeonhole character do you think he was about to be in? Because he was getting more popular. But what was he
Yeah.
pigeonholed to be? Like a Chris Pratt type of?
I feel like he
yeah.
was. I feel like.
Thanks, Derpy Entertainment.
Yeah, Lone Ranger didn't
It
do
did
well.
did not do well.
I don't know
A
why I
Disney
wrote that.
flop.
Maybe because you had Johnny Depp playing a Native American,
Yeah,
but
that'll
hey,
do it. That'll be
Oh, it
yeah, I
was
forgot.
not entirely,
movie.
you
Yeah, I
know,
forgot.
when Johnny
Yeah.
Depp is your Tonto,
I forgot.
there are some
Ooh,
problems.
Not great.
Man, who is asleep at the wheel there?
Well,
And that's
that
not
was like
DEI.
what?
That's just dead wrong.
That's just not
dead
right.
wrong.
Well,
I
was
feel like
Brian-
we can all agree as a society. Like, really, Johnny Depp? No.
Brian, it was 2013. It was a different time.
I guess Army Hammer, I feel like was slated to be the heartthrob. I feel like the
Yeah,
heartthrob
I can see
lead.
that.
I don't think he was like the action guy, but he was ready to be like the rom-com / adventure movie guy.
Who's the guy who fucked a Twister? What's his name?
Glenn
Chris
Powell?
Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell. I could see him being a Glenn Powell type.
I love
Yes.
how part of his lore is him fucking
Uh-huh.
a Twister now.
It is deep pod lore at this point.
It's
'cause,
deep
like,
pod.
That
That's-
was like 3 months ago.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. But you know what? If I could go in and give him a credit somewhere,
That would be
I
it.
have half a mind to edit his
That would be it.
Wikipedia.
That would be
I
it.
mean, we
even,
could.
even though the hint was pretty heavy, we should be up
Oh,
to $80.
thank you, Roman.
It was pretty heavy.
Thanks.
But
I actually
Thanks.
do have a nonprofit in mind when we
Nice.
hit 100. So
Love
I'll share
that.
that with the guys, and maybe we'll be able to act on it a little bit sooner. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, excited about that. And if you're new here, once we hit 100, we donate that money if we get the quote to a nonprofit or organization that needs it.
we sure do.
But yeah, I don't know if Army Hammer came back. I feel like he'd just do weird A24 neon stuff. I don't.
I feel like
think-
you're right.
I
Well,
don't
he's
think
got
he's
a movie
gonna.
coming back out.
He
Wait,
does?
was it?
What
I
is it?
think so.
I love how
he's
Welcome to
promoting
Fuzz.
something. He's out here. He just did an interview with somebody.
All right, I'm going IMDb.
Mm,
figure
I'm
this out
also
right
IMDbing this.
It was
Oh, he does have an upcoming.
TMZ. Oh yeah.
The Frontier Crucibles in post production, and then he's in a movie called The Dark Knight.
The Hollywood
Yeah.
Reporter. Yeah, the Hollywood Reporter has an article about the Army Hammer comeback has begun, sort of.
Oh no, this
Yeah.
isn't a comeback, you guys.
I mean, guys, he never left. He's had a movie come out almost every year.
But
So
guess who the same
2024.
thing? But the same thing is about to happen with what's his name? Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
Yeah, like another half of this, my deranged theory, and when we'll move on because we got to, is that when they started dismantling all of the DEI type things, there's a lot of people who were canceled. I think it was like, well, we've seen the worst of the worst, so we'll let this
Yeah.
slide. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of passes were given out, and I think that these are some of them.
Derpy,
He would be great.
Love it.
Yeah.
I don't hate this fan cast
It
at
would be
all.
good.
Don't hate it.
Get there, maybe, but I don't hate it.
Him or
I don't
Harvey
hate
from
it.
him
Glenn
or
Powell is Batman.
the guy who plays Harvey from Suits.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
I can see it.
That.
Yeah.
One last thing we wanted to touch on before we get into, not to keep the podcast trucking down the train tracks too much.
Yeah.
One other thing we wanted to touch on is SNL celebrated its 50th anniversary this weekend with a ton of stuff. On Friday, they had a whole like 50 years of celebrating the music. On Sunday, they had their 3-hour live performance. And so just wanted to talk about that for a moment. Did either of you get a chance to watch those things, see clips, or just general thoughts from the years of SNL as we've experienced them?
I've seen a few clips, like here and there. The very first one I saw was them bring back the Black Jeopardy sketch, which brought back like Tracy Morgan playing another character. It brought back Leslie Jones as well, but it also brought back Eddie Murphy playing Tracy Morgan, which I thought was like it was done really, really well, and it had Keenan into it, and Tom Hanks as well. So like, that was pretty dope. I saw Pedro Pascal in a lot of different things with like
he was all
Meryl
over the place.
Yeah, he was in a couple. He was like the one with Meryl Streep.
Bad Bunny was a couple different places.
Bad Bunny was in some of that too. Bill Murray is also alive and still cracking jokes too.
Yep, he is.
Yeah, dude's doing great.
It's all over the place. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds was also in there too.
Yes, he and his wife appeared on the red carpet, which was like
taking a jab at themselves.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. No, there you go. But
So,
no, I didn't get a chance to watch it. I mean, SNL has always been one of those things that I've always enjoyed watching. I mean, there's been some seasons where it hasn't necessarily been a huge hit. You're right. We only have 40 years. But I'll let you all into a little bit of a secret. When I was younger, I had fantasies about going and working on SNL.
I believe it.
I wanted to go and do that so bad because I went back and I loved watching the first season and the second season, like back in the 70s, just because it's such a different type of comedy than now. And it's very, very interesting. So
do you think that people get to SNL now? Because SNL birthed a lot of stars. Do you think that people get to SNL now to be birthed into a star, or still for the love of the game of being on SNL?
I mean, I feel like if you're doing an audition for SNL, like that's definitely in your trajectory, like your intended trajectory. I don't know. I feel like it's such a hit maker now. It's kind of hard not to think that way.
Yeah. Everybody. I remember at one point SNL was everybody got a movie. If you was in SNL, you pretty much got some type of comedy that was like at least attempted to be pushed.
And that's all because of Lorne Michaels. I mean, Lorne Michaels has been around the block so many times that, he's not a dumb man. Like he knows that like Wayne's World is hot. I'm going to give Wayne's World a movie, which will drive more people to the show.
Oh yeah.
He knows what he's doing on that end of things. So like, I mean, we all remember the Superstar movie. So yeah.
And to the consistency aspect too that I'm seeing in the comments, I think one of the things that SNL has evolved into, and if you haven't watched the movie Saturday Night, go check it out because it is based on the events of the first night of Saturday Night Live, like their first live show, and it's a mess. And the basic idea was to get away from like the typical Johnny Carson show. So there were all these different ideas. It was radical at the time, right? And so to go from like, this is the most radical thing we can think of, and now SNL is just, I don't know. It's a standard. You can say whatever standard it is, right? But SNL is a standard that is this touchstone we all like talk about, whether it's good or bad, whether it's consistent or not. It is holding that place now, like within our media, even after like cord cutters, like, because the SNL sketches I watch are usually the ones that get like 1 million or 2 million views somewhere, and then it enters my orbit. And I'm not saying I prefer to do it that way, but that's usually when I like am able to see that material. So it's interesting how it's changing to meet those new demands of how we also consume our media.
Well, and I think the other thing to think about too is like it is having a impact on like our culture as like American people, because every election cycle they bring out like they are still making strong political commentary, and have been. That's the one thing that has remained constant since Chevy Chase was falling down as Gerald Ford to now. Like it has always been something that has been consistent. And so I think that's a great point. Roman, why is there first time banner at the bottom?
Who cares?
I don't know.
First.
Oh, I thought it said first. It said fist
Somebody
time.
put a fist time Chiron at the bottom.
That makes more sense.
Which
I do want to
me.
answer this question from Roman. I want us to answer our questions.
Who is each of your favorite cast members of all time?
Yep. Anybody got theirs just right off the rip?
I'm ready to step out. Cecily Strong, I feel like, is one of the top 10 SNL members of the entire 50-year history, because she has a ton of range. And I also feel like she doesn't always fit into the traditional roles that a lot of the women on the show have. She's super loud. She's super boisterous. And she gets really physical, which I really appreciate. I think there's a sketch of her flying. Like she's on wires at some point.
I feel like you're right.
I also really enjoy like the drunk party girl on Weekend Update. That always made me laugh. We all know that person.
Yep.
And I just honestly, I think she's really talented. So I'm gonna say that has been my favorite to watch and enjoy.
Yep. You're getting some love in the comments. Marcus?
This is tough for me because for obvious reasons, Eddie Murphy, I think, is a legend. You birthed a fucking legend, jumping from SNL to everything that Eddie Murphy made it to be, literally changed the scope of comedy. So there's that. On the other side of that, Keenan, also just for various reasons, who's like the longest running cast member now.
He's the longest currently,
going from Nickelodeon, going from like the little Nickelodeon SNL show to this and being the all that. That's the show. But then also on the other side of things, just completely Andy Samberg. Just because the music portion, what he was able to do with Lonely Island and all that stuff like that, for a variety of reasons, those are my people that I have in rotation.
Yeah. I think that Sandberg captured the digital shorts, did something for SNL at a time when videos were going viral. He gave them that, like, this is how you make something that can have staying power out when the show ends. Like he found a way to say, how do we make SNL more than just a show? And he was able to find that entry point. And
now it's natural and organic now.
I mean, the Please Don't Destroy doesn't happen if Andy Samberg's shorts aren't successful. And I
100%.
also feel like Andy Samberg figured out like the cheat code of like, no, there's this entire internet culture that is so irreverent of everything. And that if we give them these like 3 or 4 hooks that don't even need to make narrative sense, we have a hit. Like it'll be funny. And he was totally right. Like On the Ground, like that has, I don't even know how many views that has on YouTube alone. It's got to be hundreds of millions. And it does not, it's not anything narrative that makes sense.
No. For me, it's early 90s. There's 2 that are sort of a tie for me, and it's Chris Farley and Phil Hartman.
Phil
Hartman had this role of the straight man to a point where it was hilarious. I remember he had a bit that he used to do on SNL called Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. And my favorite part of that, I mean, he's got the caveman brow and the long hair, and he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm just a caveman." Like that, the delivery And the way he would just sort of deliver some of those lines were just perfect. And then Farley for his physicality and the way that he just did comedy were things that I thought were hugely impactful for me. But it's probably a tie between those two, between Phil. I mean, I think a lot of people forget Phil Hartman was on SNL because but he did such a great job when he was there.
Yep.
I need to do a quick call out before we talk about Pete Davidson. I threw it on the ground has 131 million views.
Jesus Christ.
I threw it on the ground.
That's not my dad. That's a phone. It's
That's
something
a cell
that still
phone.
makes me laugh.
Yep, every time.
Dick in a box. Oh God, man! Sandberg went on a fucking run, man. Didn't he get
told
whooped in
Mark-
9-9?
I told
God.
Marcus that I wanted he and I to go as Sandberg and Justin Timberlake for Halloween one year. I thought
That's
that'd
my
be
dick in a
hilarious.
box.
Yes.
I thought that'd be hilarious.
Dick in a box, yeah.
Any other thoughts on Saturday Night Live before we get into Brave New World?
Happy 50th. We'll love to host one game. One game. We'd love to host an episode
Yeah.
or two.
We can do it.
Don't make me write because that sounds like a nightmare.
No,
I
he would
don't know if
secretly love
anybody's heard about how they write, but they write everything within a week, and they literally we come into the office around 5 o'clock, and then we basically stay up until 6 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock in the morning writing, and then we have to go and pitch them all. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not built.
But
A younger me might be built for that, but not me now. I'm not built for that
Fuck
anymore.
no.
Absolutely not. I'm in bed. I need to sleep.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'll keep doing the comedy.
To be
You're doing
honest,
great.
if I did have that opportunity, I'm not even gonna bullshit you. I think right now in my current life, yes. But man, if I had that opportunity as a writer to get the ability to make some shit go viral or hit
Right.
or be a reoccurring funny something, whatever.
Absolutely.
Man, I think the best writers are the ones that go on to SNL to become the actors on SNL.
A lot of them do. Yeah, a lot of the writers both act, but some of them don't. But a lot of them have gone on to big things. I mean, Conan O'Brien was a writer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they've all. I mean, there's a history there. And I'll say this: that environment brings out the best and the worst in people. I mean, they are. I've heard them talk they are unafraid to say that doesn't work. And not being patient or kind with it, but being no, this sketch doesn't work. You need to rewrite it. It's thanks for pitching it. Thanks for your idea, but these things need to work or otherwise, and they only pick so many. So it breeds, you got to be on your best, and it can sometimes competition brings out the best in people.
I think the one thing, the reason I always keep going back to SNL, and I defend it with people who are oh, SNL sucks now. And it's SNL is the brutally just this brutal process of is this funny? Do you like this? And some of it definitely doesn't work, but I would rather have a show that's I remember they did a Black Widow rom-com trailer and it was okay. I think Scarlett Johansson was really funny in it. Everything else around, I was but for every one of those, I don't know if you've seen the latest Ariana Grande pre-recorded music sketch she did.
My best friend's house.
My best friend's dad. And I'm not going to spoil it. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. That's one of the funniest things they've put out in a while. And I would rather have that than something, from Netflix that's not having that type of radical invitation to just try new things constantly to figure out what people find funny.
And that's what comedy is, though. Comedy is this funny? Oh, it's not. I mean, stand-up comedians talk about it all the time. I mean, that's why they have to do what they call that's why they have to build their chops in small comedy houses in the middle of nowhere, Kansas City, before they can go to New York, because they have to say I know what works for my delivery and my style and how to kill and how to get a laugh. I can't just go to the big leagues and be ready for it. So I do think, Brian, I think that's a great point. So
that was beautiful.
Well, thank you.
I do want to leave some time. So this is one more time for everybody at home. This is your spoiler warning for Captain America: Brave New World. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into some details of the movie. We're going to get into some spoilers for the one post-credit scene that there was. So yeah, that's just kind of where we're going to be at. But gentlemen, who would like to give us their barbershop summary or Captain America: Brave New World.
Have you ever been a black man and needed to prove yourself to people?
No, actually,
Is that
I know this is going to surprise some, but no, I've never been a black man.
you know what? I have not.
Well, that's what this movie is about. I'd love to welcome you to Being Black for Dummies. But this is what basically what this is.
Oh my
So we get Sam Wilson, our Captain America. It is made clear that this is Captain America, the one and the only.
Yep.
Sam is back. They come in, they bring us in while Sam is on a mission. Captain America is currently working for the U.S. government, or the military to some capacity, but not the president directly, I guess, is kind of where it starts us off at. Anyway, they're going after this package. The package is very discreet, and the leader of the Serpent Society is the one that is delivering, or supposed to be like handing this package off to the buyer, but the buyer doesn't show. So it gives us this scene where we get to see Captain America, Sam Wilson, along with, oh God, his sidekick's name is
Joaquin Torres.
Thank you, Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon. Where it's not official, but it is official. So there is this whole moment where they go together. You see their chemistry. You see how Sam is training with Isaiah Bradley, the forgotten Captain America. They get this invitation after they retrieve the package to come to the White House. The White House has none other than Harrison Ford, who is playing Ross.
President Thaddeus Ross.
Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, who is the new president now. And so he's telling Sam, we should partner together. We need to come hand to hand on this. It turns out that the package was adamantium, the now strongest, it's stronger than vibranium material on fucking Earth. And next thing you know, Isaiah Bradley snaps. He starts shooting at the president. A bunch of people in there are taken undercover. They are taken under mind control, and they all start shooting at president and the different leaders in the room, because the president is trying to make this treaty. He's trying to bring together this peace treaty with everybody all over the world to show that he is very different. Somebody does not want him to show that, and they only want him to show him his bad side, and that is where you get an introduction to the leader. So Sam is stuck in a tough spot, a rock and a hard place, because he's going to be Captain America.
Hulk place.
Rocking.
Oh, well done.
This time. So yeah, that's basically the movie. I don't know.
That was aggressive.
Yeah, yours was right.
Marcus, that was perfect. I think that's a great barbershop summary. Let's run down top billed cast. Anthony Mackie comes back, plays Sam Wilson. Harrison Ford, as Marcus said, is President Thaddeus Ross. Danny Ramirez plays Joaquin Torres. Shira Haas plays Ruth Bat Saraf.
Yep.
Brian, that was the most disappointing.
That was tough. That's a tough one.
That's a disappointed yup. I
don't think I could have done better.
Carl Lumbly comes back and plays Isaiah Bradley. Tim Blake Nelson is playing Samuel Stearns. Giancarlo Esposito plays Sidewinder. Then Yosha Roquemore plays Leela Taylor, who I believe was one of the
Agent Taylor.
Yes,
he was a Secret Service,
aka Anthony Mackie's boo for this entire movie.
That's not true.
It's absolutely true.
Doug kept saying that, and it was like no proof.
Well, because it was all implied. I don't need proof. It was
ever seen a Blue Eyes White Dragon?
The movie was directed by Julius Ona. And you might know him from directing movies such as The Cloverfield Paradox, and Loose, which was in 2019. So that's
want to get loose.
And then box office. This movie kind of made gangbusters money at box office.
It did.
It was a little surprising. It opened to $100 million in the US and $192 million worldwide. So definitely where I think Marvel expected it to come out, or they didn't expect it, but they have to be pleased with the result.
Yeah, I agree.
So
how big do you think the truck of money? Oh, we talked about that at the end.
We talked about that.
Chris says, how big do you think the truck of money was they had to drive to live Tyler's house to get her a reappearance as Betty?
I honestly, I think this question's even funnier when we talk about some behind the scenes stuff. And I do believe it was probably a ton of money.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look up the budget for the film, unless you have that, Doug. I can't remember. I don't know if I missed that.
I'm pulling it up. I'm pulling it up now.
And the latest probably,
because I bet a significant part of the budget went to Liv Tyler.
Oh, I would absolutely
so silly
for them 3 lines.
Well, and I mean, the Incredible Hulk movie came out 17 years ago.
Yeah, let me look it up.
If I'm
Let me
doing
look it
this
up.
right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
So,
great movie, by the way.
I mean,
And
a ton of people
here's
are
the
gonna
thing:
back and watch it.
it keeps getting 2008.
Oh my gosh.
It keeps getting mentioned about which also says a lot to me about the fact that we got cheated out of a Hulk, because the only Hulk interaction that people can really point to is the fight in Harlem between him and Abomination. And they keep bringing that up. They did it when the first Avengers movie came out.
Yep.
They did it here as a pivotal moment, in like Hulk's history. So like, obviously that movie matters, and I guess that's why you gotta keep the consistency, I guess.
So this is why reshoots are important. With reshoots and marketing budget, $380 million is where they're at. So 192 globally, certainly a start to chipping away at that. So I don't think that they're expecting it to make that money back. But as far as Marvel receptions go, it was, I mean, that's what you're kind of hoping for.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the countries was kind of hoping for a big movie event. And according to an article I read from the Hollywood Reporter, they said that they gave us an ethnic breakdown, which I don't know why we all needed.
All right.
Black moviegoers was 23%. Caucasians was 35%, and then Latinos was 23%, with Asians being 10%. I don't know why we got that ticket breakdown.
I think
how all of you have that.
It is kind of important, but I understand.
It also is, but it also is like weird. Like,
I mean,
hey, they had a black Captain America. Guess how many black people went to the movie?
That is,
I guess they don't like a
that's
black.
exactly what's happening.
Yeah, but that's kind of like what happens with Black Panther, right? Even though characters are different, like you see the representation, you want to see how many people are going to show up for this movie.
That's fair. That's a good,
because then it'll determine if they want to make more black leads can survive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah.
That's a fair
no,
point.
that was something I wanted to talk about with this movie too.
Yeah.
I don't know where we want to start though exactly. I did have a question about the budget.
Let's start with what we liked. Like, let's start on a positive note and say, hey, what worked? And I'll start before we jump into it.
Do it.
I will say this, and I'll say this because I kept hearing this as we got like spoiler-free reviews for people who saw it in advance. I heard a lot of people say like, oh, the fight scenes just really aren't that great. Like they look kind of like, you know, practiced and rehearsed. And I got to be honest, I thought they were fine. Like I really thought that I thought that the physical fighting was cool. I appreciate the fact that we had an innovative way. You know, we've seen that shield thrown probably 10,000 times at this point, over the course of the 30 years that the MCU has been going on. So the fact that we still found creative ways for Sam to like utilize that in a fight that was a little bit different, I thought I was appreciated, like to put his own spin on something that we thought we saw. So I thought the fight scenes were fine. The one in front of the Celestial that's coming out of the ocean, like that whole like Brian's Chiron, like the Top Gun moment, that was just absolutely like that was just a really, really cool moment. So that's one thing that I liked is I thought the fight scenes were what I wanted. They were entertaining. Like they were exactly what I wanted them to be.
Yeah, the motherfucker surfed the missile. So I wish y'all would shut the fuck up.
I didn't have that on my bingo card, and the moment it happened, I did one of these to Maggie. Like you can't, for those listening, you can't see me. I like shook her arm, and I was like, ah! Like it was so much fun.
Marcus puts his arms in front of me like he's stopping short in a car. He'll be like, he does one of these.
I did not expect to see his black ass. Now here's I did not expect to see his black ass surfing a damn missile. But here's what I did like about the movie was. I told y'all before on this podcast, I have really been into power scaling when it comes to movies. I love how people power scale characters. Like, and a power scale to me is like how they show you and set you up of how strong a character is, which sometimes comes down the line of how they would face against another character or by themselves in a fight. So like the way that they power scaled Sam in this by having him go against Isaiah Bradley, and he's really quick. He's really taking the whoopings and giving the whoopings out and defining and standing 10 toes on the fact that he don't need a serum. Like, I don't need a serum. I'm not taking a serum. I might joke about like, oh, I should have taken that serum, but I'm clearly capable of doing what I need to do.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. And I love that.
I want to give a bump to the Shield and the fight choreo because
Yeah.
like
That was tough.
I enjoyed it. I
a
also
missile.
thought it was fine. I need like a Sam Wilson shield kick has to be like a superpower now in the Marvel universe because it just looks so cool.
It does.
Yeah.
And I wanted to jump in, Doug, because it's like people like just I don't know. People have short memories, myself included, but it's like you're not watching a super soldier do his thing or their thing like when they're doing these fight sequences. This is a dude. This is a dude who was a counselor who served in Afghanistan and is now Captain America. It's gonna
this
look
man's
different.
background is ostensibly social work for veterans. Like, and
Right.
he's like
Right.
basically kicking a shield around all over the place.
Yeah. Oh no, the bro is ready to be like, tell me how you feel today. Pow! Shield to the face.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? Anyway, and then obviously the second act, the Top Gun sequence, is what I'm referring to it as when they're flying around the ships with the jets around Tiamat. I thought was phenomenal. Honestly, it's the best part of the movie to me. Like that is worth the price of admission because a Marvel movie. I feel like a Marvel movie hasn't had like that. I mean, you can say Deadpool and Wolverine had some innovative set pieces, but it almost exists on its own zany, wacky thing. Like that. I really enjoyed this sequence, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, and having an aerial battle in front of the Celestial is like something you'd see in like a Star Fox video game.
Yes.
Like that is exactly what that was. And so they really were allowed, like they put that to scale and made it something really exciting. Because if that's just out in open ocean, then all it is Top Gun. But to have that as the background sort of raises the stakes a little bit more, which I appreciated.
And I think the thing I want to say is that I enjoyed this movie for a reason other people didn't like it, but I think this movie, more than others in quite a while, leaned on a lot of the MCU history and references, and it didn't care if you didn't know. And
no, it didn't give a shit.
Like, and I'm not trying to say that as someone that's like, I'm in the in crowd. I've seen all 34 projects. Like, I'm not trying to be exclusive or gatekeep, but I do feel like we have to have this moment where we're going to talk about Wakanda and we're not going to describe to you what Wakanda is. And I am going to say like, we're going to say Harlem. If you don't know what Harlem is, you got to figure it out. Like, I do appreciate that because it does feel like a little bit more of a lived in world. And we're also acknowledging things from the Eternals, by the way, which like that took 4 years, which is just bonkers to me, but I'm happy it happened. And the fact that it's adamantium makes me really happy. Obviously there's a lot of X-Men, Wolverine connections. Japan is the one in the movie that is seen as farthest along in their adamantium research journey is maybe the best way to describe it. Just a lot of implications, and this movie feels very lived in on a ground level, which I appreciated.
We might get another shot at Silver Samurai, Brian. We might get another shot. We might get another shot at Silver Samurai, like with that development, because the last time we got it was not great. So
man, the third act of the Wolverine really falls.
It sticks with you like grits.
Yeah, that sticks with you like a pair of musty drawers. Like it just doesn't.
That would be a fun bonus episode for us to go back to that.
That would be a lot of fun.
Now, I do think there was a lot of people complaining about Cap's helmet. And reasons why he had a helmet. Oh, they hasn't got a helmet. Why they gotta hide his face? They always do this. Now some people are split of like, oh, why does he need a helmet? And then the other people are like, well, it's because he's black and they want to hide his face in the promotional materials. Which okay, I could see that maybe possibly. I'm not gonna completely like say that that's not it. However, seeing all of that in the fight scene of all that flipping and flapping he doing around in the damn sky and all that damn shit, it makes perfect sense why he has a full-fledged helmet on. Like them goggles won't gonna cut it. But
I don't know how many of you
really done well.
I don't know how many of you have tried to breathe at altitude, but it doesn't necessarily go well. Here's what I'd like all of you who are critiquing it to do. Go to Colorado and run a mile. And you let me know how you feel after that. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
I thought it was tough.
It looks something like this. I'm trying to bring it up. But yeah, it's a pilot helmet.
Good design, actually.
Helmet.
I like the,
like the
design personally.
I
Like,
do.
Yeah.
it makes sense. He's gonna be going fast and he's breaking the sound barrier. Like, you need a helmet. Like,
Red
Yeah.
goggles. I like that a
Now,
lot.
canonically.
I will-
Also, it's a vibranium helmet. So yeah, I'm taking that for sure.
And now I will say this. I do see if their point is he's flying around with a helmet during the battle, but now that the battle's over, he's
Sure.
taking out and just hanging out. Like, what was the
Mm.
why was that there? Get that critique, because it is weird to be like, so he has it on there, but if he's just like floating, he doesn't need it. Like, but again, let's let a comic book movie be a comic book movie. Like,
yeah.
every superhero needs their badass surveilling the battle damage moment. Just let the man
That's true.
fucking have it, like, and
That's
move
true.
on.
Honestly,
So-
I enjoy it more than the Falcon and Winter Soldier get
Oh,
up
God, I hated
he
that.
had,
Yeah.
which I appreciate that the MCU took a risk and they were like,
Mhm.
whatever, just straight from the comic. And Marcus shared a great video of Anthony
Oh.
Mackie doing an interview
Yeah.
talking about how much he hated that outfit and like
Yeah.
it didn't work. And like I look at it now and it makes sense why it didn't work. It's fogging up your glasses.
Mhm.
The cowl's uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So it makes sense that they just moved to a helmet. It makes
Yeah,
total sense to
100%.
me.
Yeah.
This does seem like a good point to start to pivot to maybe
Well,
things.
not
that-
yet. Here's
Go
the
ahead.
thing. Here's what I want to say. Listen, I went into this movie. Now, Anthony Mackie, I like Anthony Mackie.
Yeah.
Right. I have no issue with Anthony Mackie. He's been around a long time, acting a long time. I've never felt that Anthony Mackie really possessed. I've like accepted, and he is Captain America, but I've never felt like the Chris Evans moment of when Chris Evans was really identifiable as Captain
Yeah.
America. This movie does that. I really think it
Mhm.
humanized Sam in such a way to give him his own arc of like everybody looked up to Steve Rogers, and they kind of say it in the movie.
Mhm.
Of like everybody looked up to Steve, or Steve was the standard, but they make the comparison that says Sam is the person that we all aspire to be, like the everyday man's man becoming Captain America, who has like on all fronts saved the world, his neighborhood and community, and like he served in the military, like all of these different options. Pretty well-rounded, pretty good guy, got to hang around the big dogs as this human with no super abilities. Like they really did well in defining him as Captain America and putting him moments where he could prove himself as that.
There's a quote from the director before the movie came out that says, I would be surprised if people didn't leave this movie saying, okay, that's Captain. Like, you know what I mean? Like they will see him in it and go, yep, that fits. And I agree. Like, I think that's 100%. And Marcus, that scene is between Bucky and Sam in the hospital.
Yep.
Yeah.
They say those exact words. He goes, I just don't get it. Like everybody followed Steve, and Bucky comes back with this, like, yeah, they followed him and he was a leader, but you give them like their people. Steve was somebody he wanted to follow. Everybody wants to be you though. Like they would follow Steve, but they want to be you. And so I think that's a great point.
And I love that you brought that up, because I think what this movie doesn't explicitly do that I want to highlight, that's a good thing, is that Sam chose this. Like Sam chose this superhero life, this MCU, however we want to phrase it. You look at the original Avengers, you have a green monster who accidentally got radiation therapy. You have Natasha, who had to go to the Red Room. She didn't have much choice there. Cap, I mean, like Steve Rogers' Cap kind of had a choice, but they didn't know what the serum would do to him exactly. And you can go down the list. A lot of those people didn't really have a choice to get into the life. Hawkeye, whatever, I'm going to leave him out. And I feel like Sam and Anthony Mackie, what he brings to this role is that this is the first guy that's like, I see y'all doing that stuff, I'm going with you. And Winter Soldier captures that really well, which is why it's one of my favorite movies. And I feel like this movie just such a good job being like, yeah, like I'm hanging out with people who fight aliens and like Hulk out, and what am I doing here? And the idea of like, hey, like people can actually be you, like you're relatable, you can be this guy for other people without all the other origin story baggage. And I think that really connected with me. That was so, I just thought at this point in the MCU, in this story, as well as what's going on in the world right now, I think it's a good thing to highlight somebody who is like, yeah, he's just like you, and he's trying to do these amazing
great point.
things. And I just think that's really special. I think that's cool.
Agreed.
That was great, bro. Beautiful.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
Thanks.
Shall we? So, I mean, obviously, those are some things that worked, and not the only things that worked. I mean, there was other stuff in this. I think Giancarlo Esposito playing Sidewinder, as out of place as it felt for him to be called Sidewinder and for there to be a Serpent Society, certainly thought that was a bold goddamn choice.
I'm sorry.
But he was fine.
It was all over the place.
No, I need to say this. I need to get this out of my system. I'm watching this movie. I'm seeing Sam Wilson do his thing. And then it's like, here's the villain. And then it goes to the back of the jacket. It's like, it's the Serpent Society. And I started laughing. Because I knew it was like on 3 levels. 1, Serpent Society is a joke in the comics. In here.
Yeah.
Whatever. 2, the fact that you have like the villain from Breaking Bad leading the joke team, the joke villain team in this movie, amazing. That joke works on another level for me. And then 3rd, having it be this like super serious logo, the Serpent Society, like when no, y'all ain't anything. It was very funny to me, and I needed to get that out of my system.
So you took that as a joke, Brian? I took that as a rebranding for them. Or is that also the joke? Because I took that as them trying to seriously make the Serpent Society a thing. Because remember, they shot scenes with like Seth Rollins from the WWE.
Yeah.
And like they cut a lot of scenes from like different characters that were supposed to be in there.
On that note, that first act is totally reshot. Like,
oh, it's 100% reshot.
Like, what was the first act?
Like
in the church.
In the church, like all of Esposito stuff, I think was reshoots. I took his role as an insult to his acting career. Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
I can see that.
I love it so for that exact reason. It makes me happy because like this guy has such gravitas, and it's like, all right, so here's this role we have. You lead the snake villain team that like actually never wins, and he's like, yes. Like he's it. I love it.
And by the way, for some reason, you really hate Captain America. We're not
going to say they did not explain that at all.
But we're going to make sure that everybody knows that if you get a chance to kill Sam Wilson and Sam Wilson only, you're going to take it.
You just
what the fuck? Okay, I mean that seems like a bold choice to take in a movie for like 25 minutes of screen time.
Like he stole your prom date. He totaled your first car. Like this guy, you hate him.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
I needed to get that out.
This guy shut the elevator when you were late for a job interview. That's 100%.
I think it's a rebranding, Marcus. I don't know. I think for me as like a comic book nerd, I thought it was funny. I think it works on another level for people who don't know that Serpent Society is that. I also think Invincible, by the way, if you watch Invincible, they have a very similar team that has the same punchlines with also a nice plot twist if you've watched it.
I have not watched
it. Anyway, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that Esposito was involved. And I do think the role it doesn't seem like it matches, but I enjoyed that piece is what I'm trying to say, I think.
And I think this is like he is just a symptom of some of the like scatterbrainedness of like and other pieces that just kind of felt weird and didn't fit. Like because I want to talk about I have to look up her name. I want to talk about Ruth.
Oh, you know.
I want to talk about Ruth for a moment if we can.
Ruth.
And again, I realize the times that we live in, and I think Shira Haas did the best with what she was given.
Yes, I agree.
Man, why is she in this movie?
I have an idea. And here's what I'm going to say. I think we need to address the elephant in the room and also talk about what we're not going to talk about. The elephant in the room is that in the movie, they clearly say she's an Israeli spec ops agent who went through the Red Room.
Yeah.
We are not talking about any politics related to any of the things that I just talked about.
Nope.
We're just not doing that right now.
Nope.
What I will focus on is I feel like they tried to I think they tried to recreate that dynamic from Winter Soldier with Natasha, Sam, and Steve.
Mhm.
And I think it's hard because Natasha and Steve had history and we've seen them in movies together. Ruth was brand new, and I feel like a lot of her stuff got cut in this movie. I also
it
think
most
she was
certainly did.
her role was a victim of the reshoots, and I
Uh-huh.
think they slimmed her role down.
Yeah.
Like, I do think it was an episode 1 situation, like with the pod race, where it's like, well, crap, everything revolves around this one plot point. We can't get rid of it. And same thing with her. You can't move the plot forward unless she does that.
They gave her a super suit.
Yeah, gave her a super suit. She never wore it out.
She has a super suit in this, but you see it for like 2 seconds, and it's her like getting into a truck. It's like, oh, cool. Well, bye. Like it's just it's so
and I think in the
random
promotional material that came out, they had her super suit, like even a logo too at the same point. So
I don't know. It's I didn't I want to apologize to Shiri Haas. If she was Shira Haas, if she was in that movie, I referred to her as a 14-year-old girl for a majority of this movie, just because of her height. It was jarring because it was like
it was
big dude, what's happening here? And then like it was just for a movie that had like a hulking for a movie that had a red Hulk, and then you have her in it. It was just, this is a lot of height that we're playing with here.
Well, right, and I feel like it goes back to like why Natasha was used in Winter Soldier, and to an excellent degree, it highlighted so many things because it's like, no, we know Natasha's a super spy. We've seen her do this stuff.
Yeah,
and like Ruth just shows up. And I'm not trying to gatekeep, but they do try to shortcut it, right? They try to give you the shorthand, right? They reference Black Widow.
They're giving you the cliff notes.
She's like the same thing, but there was no charisma there. There was no I don't exactly know why she did the things she did. There was no motivation there, and I feel like she did the best with what she had, and a lot of what she did well was probably left on the cutting room floor because they reshot this and re-edited it to such a degree.
And the comparison I can give is it's Natasha and Iron Man 2 versus here. Natasha and Iron Man 2 gave off this vibe of like, okay, there's something about her I can't quite place, but she's charismatic, she can fit in, and then out of nowhere, she's a secret spy taking orders from somebody, and it's a big deal. And that's when there's in Iron Man 2 is the Nick Fury reveal and the connection that Natasha has. There was just never that payoff moment. It was just like she's following orders, following orders. And then one day she just walks into the president's office and been like, hey, you're wrong. And that was supposed to be the big sort of like twist with it that it didn't work for me.
And it kind of did her character dirty because I don't really feel like she had a moment. And like, that's just a bummer. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go to the comments here really quick.
Please, because that one's fucking priceless.
No, I see. Okay, so I see in the comments that I'm Marvel glazing, which is fine because we are going to talk about things we.
Who said that? Who said that about? Who said that?
Oh, that was just like 4 or 5 comments up.
Oh wow.
Hey man, we will get into that because I also know I'm the positive Pete of this podcast.
You are the positive Pete. You are the positive Pete of this
movie. I don't know what's wrong with this damn. Nah, don't do that.
But that comment saying shout out to the city of Philadelphia having more city violence after winning the Super Bowl than Red Hulk was in this movie. I have also things to say about that.
True.
Then let's pivot to that.
Okay, can I say my last? Because I did enjoy.
Marcus, I want you to talk.
Just shout out to Harrison Ford as well.
Oh yeah,
I think that when you add the caliber of Harrison Ford to a movie like this, you up the stakes just off of his acting alone, because things all of a sudden feel more serious, or they feel more like, oh, he knows how to play a disgruntled president who's pissed off and tired and trying to do the same.
Did it in Air Force One?
Get
off my plane.
I really needed that reference.
It was God. I wanted that.
Nobody made that reference before.
Get off my boat. Like that's all he had to say was "get off my boat." He would have been like, "Oh,
he said the thing."
Harrison Ford is grumpy, but like he is a professional, and I feel like that's not as, I don't know. It feels very old Hollywood. Like I just feel like, you know, when you get in a room with him, it's like, hey, like, can you do this Jeep commercial? He's like, how much you gonna pay me, kid? You know, like your usual rate. He's like, okay, what do you want me to say about Jeeps? You know, like he'll do it.
He did.
He'll
Yeah,
do
that
it
Jeep-
and do it well and call it a day. He won't phone stuff in.
And I'll also say this. I did see an interview where somebody said, like, well, how did you feel about like having did you have any like reservations about like being in a Marvel movie and being CGI and being the Red Hulk? And he literally says, the interviewer goes, that's what the money is for. Like that's what the money is for, to make the reservations go away. And they all chuckled, but he was like, this is a joke, but I'm also not lying.
this is
Like,
dead
I am
serious.
dead ass serious.
He's always been
This
about
is
the
what
money.
the money is for.
And that's, by the way, that's fine. Like maybe except Indiana Jones, maybe, but like because he seems to genuinely enjoy that character. But no,
except for
Harrison
Kingdom
Ford-
of the Crystal Skull.
That's how you got him back as Han Solo, I believe. It's like,
Yep.
how big is the check? And I'm gonna die? Cool. I ain't gotta do
Great.
shit else.
I
for the
can
rest
put
of
a
the
lot of shit to bed with
Awesome.
this.
Harrison Ford was trying to kill Han Solo for decades.
For decades.
Yeah, he wanted
finally
to
got
die
his way.
excuse.
so
Yeah,
bad.
for sure.
If I have to see one more kid at Comic-Con dress up as me, I'm gonna blow my stack. Like, it's just
You're telling me I do this movie and he's dead? All right, let's go.
I'm in. How much? I'll do it for free.
I'll
Fuck.
do it for free. Please kill me.
You give me a good sandwich.
Good sandwich. What type of sandwich would Harrison Ford eat?
I don't know.
Guys, there's not enough time. We're
No,
at 90.
okay.
We're in
Oh,
90 minutes.
gosh.
We are in 90-minute
All
monster
right.
territory. Someone's
Let's
gonna
rip
say
off this
roast beef
Band-Aid.
sandwich, and then it's gonna be a
Fine.
whole rabbit hole
I
we're gonna
didn't
go
say
down. But let's talk about let's talk about Red Hulk a little bit. Shall we? So that was sort of like the big culminating moment was to get
Till he's
Red
90.
to get Red Hulk in this, which really, Chris, is like 3 years from now.
Yep.
Right.
He's like an old
Yep.
man.
But
Marcus, you have been our biggest critiquer of a lack of a rage monster Hulk. What was your take on Red Hulk in this?
All right, bullet pointed. I think it's bullshit. Incredible Hulk is a good Hulk movie. Okay, that's my opinion. Marcus Dixon's
I
opinion
agree.
only.
I would
Okay?
agree with that.
That is the last time we got a nice, good raging Hulk to me, except Avengers like 1. But other than that, we have not had a raging Hulk as we know it in this new Disney era. And I think we got the comic relief Hulk, which I'm not that much of a fan of when you start doing smart Hulk shit. Okay. We have good Hulk versions out there. We have not had our raging Green Hulk. And I think that they did pretty well giving us a raging Hulk, a full out Hulk out in a Disney movie. Because I do think that they're preparing for getting those rights back to Hulk and then giving a nice little Hulk out. I do think that, like, from a business side. But I thought that this was done well in the aspect of how they introduced the transformation of Red Hulk. I sent the guys a video earlier today. I don't know if they got a chance to watch it, but
I don't think I did.
I did.
It was pretty cool about, like, the director talking about throughout the entire movie, they remove all of the red, no reds.
Oh yeah.
And then,
I did see that.
like closer to the reveal of Red Hulk, they all of a sudden introduced all of the red and slowly introduced it into shots so that the reveal was that much more important. And I do think that they did that. Like, they did that well. We just got cheated. No Green Hulk.
And to that point, I do think it is weird.
What's happening?
Oh, he's saying that the only reason why Red Hulk was in it for toys, and I don't disagree.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I will say this. I do find it odd that Marvel just decided to do this
with Captain America.
Yeah, and it's just like I think I'm going to be more irritated when I find out where the Hulk is while that's happening.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's his weekend to have Scar on wherever he is in space. So he's got to be a dad this weekend. That's why he can't be there.
Maybe this is an unpopular opinion though, but I do feel like one of the things I did enjoy was the fact they didn't give enough space for us to ask, where the fuck is Bruce? Like, they didn't give us enough time between things to ask that question. I think that's doing well in filling your space.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. That's just me though.
I agree. Like, it's just there's no
where the fuck is a Hulk? Any Hulk? She-Hulk.
Pick one. Exactly. Pick one. I don't give a shit which one.
And I feel like this is something I do feel like this is something we talk about when any Marvel project comes out, right? Of like because the same thing. I'm gonna go back to Winter Soldier. Like, where's Tony? Like, Tony should be helping Cap. Like, right? Like, all this stuff is happening pretty fast. And I do want to say, like, I get it. They need to have their own stories, and some of the stuff happens so fast they're not gonna get there in time or whatever. However, it is really weird. It's very weird that you keep talking about the Incredible Hulk, and then it's like, all right, is he gonna show up? And they're like, no, like, no. That's the neat part. He doesn't, and I do feel like,
what if he didn't?
It feels very. It would have felt very natural for Mark Ruffalo to show up. I feel like there was some really easy parts of this movie for him to show up either as a consultant or to just have a stare down with Ross, or to have him have at least Green Hulk show up in the finale. I know that's a lot, but it's very interesting to me that Mark Ruffalo and Bruce Banner were just nowhere to be seen, because this happens over the course of weeks. Like, it's just very interesting.
I imagine the last line of the past credit scene being Harrison Ford is in the prison, and all of a sudden Betty comes out. She says, "Dad, yeah, we can sit and talk for a few." And then Banner steps in around from the corner, around from her, and he's like, Bruce Banner, or he's like Banner, and she's like, President or whatever, welcome to the club. And then like it ends right there.
Yeah,
like
that would have been a great post credits.
Little post credits scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I brought someone to help me. I brought someone along to help me deal with your condition.
Yeah. Hey, hey, I got an expert in the field.
And all he has to say is General, and that's it.
That's it.
And I fade to black. That's it.
I do wonder if they worry that if they did that, they were taking away from the Captain America-ness of the movie. I'm wondering if that's what the decision or the rationale was.
Great, print it.
Right.
Best I could the guy from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou and Bucky.
I mean, I liked Bucky's look.
I did like Bucky's look.
But yeah, it's strange, and it's weird for people that have stuck with this narrative since 2008. I think it's weird.
Is Bucky Barnes Democratic or Republican?
He's absolutely a Democratic representative from New York.
Just checking. Congressman.
100%.
Hold on, Brian. Hold on.
What's up?
I will say that Bucky was someone who was indoctrinated by communism.
Oh God!
So in that same vein, I could see him being like that hyper conservative, like we are the world police and the only people who are going to stop communism.
No
is the guy with a gun.
No fucking way.
I could see that. Like
no.
I will agree with some of his things. He's probably a little left leaning.
He flirted with a black woman, automatically Democrat.
I don't know. Flirting
done and done. I mean, case closed.
Marcus, flirting with a black woman but dating a white woman seems like a Republican to me.
Fuck.
Wow.
Back on the horse. Back on the horse.
I've seen the joke about him being a Russian plant, and then seeing that be the joke of him getting into politics, which I do think is funny.
There is one final point that I want to sort of have us discuss to sort of take us home.
Yeah.
And this
are we already at the end? Why are we rushing?
Oh, I mean, I had like one or two other things, but
no, I'm not. But what I might ask about might be related. Is there is this whole umbrella? There is this whole this whole star next to this movie, because it makes it very clear. We've been wondering for a few moments now where the Avengers are and what's happening. Shang-Chi, we were wondering that.
Man.
Like the Marvels, we were wondering that. This makes it very clear in no short terms, the Avengers don't exist.
Yeah. They're nowhere.
It's not a thing.
They're gone.
Like, it's just not a thing. And it's established very early on. So going back to the point about like, where is the Hulk? Maybe he's just like, hey, there are no Avengers, so I don't need to be here. Like that, maybe that's part of it. But I did want to say, like, thoughts on what that means, and this whole like Sam being pushed to like, you should really start this back up again. Like, how did y'all feel that landed? Just general thoughts there.
To me, I think that would be automatically the Avengers are who brought you back. The last time everybody saw the Avengers was assumingly after the world just popped back up, right? Everybody just got snapped back. but to see them all together in one room, I don't think that they've seen that, which is probably why they try to go start the Thunderbolts too, right? But that's like a different movie.
Yep. I'm bringing up a clip of of this point that we're referencing here about Shang-Chi and the Avengers. So go ahead.
I think that the point landed. That is what you are supposed to say when you do have a Captain America and somebody who can lead them, who may lean towards being on your side. That's really what you needed in order to build it. Because who's going to fund the Avengers now?
Right.
Like who builds all the stuff, gives them a place to stay? Somebody's got to be the point of that, and it's not Tony. Who do you trust?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like I want to give context here for our viewers. If you're not familiar with this post-credits Shang-Chi scene, we have Shang-Chi talking to Wong, Captain Marvel, and Hulk about the 10 rings, and they're given information here. This was in 2021.
Yeah.
So this image, it appears to me, there is some semblance of an Avengers LAN network. Like we're not like a full internet here, but like
we're in contact.
There's an
like,
Avengers news. There's a quarterly Avengers teams meeting. Like that is what this is.
Like they'll all hop on Zoom every few weeks.
Yeah, apparently. Just to be like, what are you working on?
But everybody can't make it, so they all say they'll read the meeting minutes, but they all don't.
Nobody reads the meeting minutes.
You know what? I'll send my AI and it'll record the meeting. But
I'm gonna put a question at the end of these meeting minutes, like what was Shang-Chi eating during the meeting,
just to make sure we all read it.
Fuckers have got to read it.
Like, so clearly the Avengers exist in a format, and that's what I wanted to show here.
But in like no official capacity.
But I mean, right? They're meeting via Zoom or Holo, however you want to say it. Like they're not in Avengers Tower. They're not at the campus. They're not. Well, I guess campus doesn't exist.
No, it got
sold. There are no centralized locations. So like that moment for me hit well. I loved that moment when Ross was like, "Yo, like what are we doing here?" Especially with the giant celestial adamantium thing in the middle of the ocean. Seems like a good time. I liked that. And I also liked how the meta commentary was when President Ross thought Sam was on his side. Yeah, you can restart the Avengers. And then the moment Sam asks a question, which it was not lost on me that the moment the black man asks the question, he's like, "Nah, you can't do anything now. You can't do anything for me. Get out of here."
Now you're done.
Like, whew, that imagery is like very clear to me.
And it was the point that he brought up before. What happens when you and I hit a disagreement? There was a lot of those coded moments or messages that stood out to me, and I think it was me and my identity as a black man. But like the shots and the conversations that Sam has with Isaiah Bradley about like him having to go back in and I'm going into the belly of the beast. There's like these comments or these moments that like are extra relevant, but they don't stick on it for too long to be like, you get it? You see what we're doing here? But it's like, if you get it, you get it. And you move on to the rest of your point without like oversaturating it.
Right.
Yep, 100%. Couldn't agree more. Those were heavy moments, and they did a lot of really cool stuff with the lighting in those moments. And if you were paying attention to way the lighting was supposed to be like laying and setting a little bit of a tone for the conversation, it's worth a rewatch. Those scenes for sure.
Yeah.
Other things. Yes, Marcus should be the next Steel for DC. Sign him up. I know he would do it.
Get him in there.
No. Other things that you all wanted to talk about, because I don't want to push us too far.
I'm happy to talk about something I really didn't like.
He's getting his hair swoop ready for this one.
This third act is one of the Brave New World. Something happened. The third act of this movie has the combined feeling of someone working furiously through the night to finish the longest term paper they've ever written in their life to just pass. I'm not talking about like A+. I'm just talking like they pass with a C and they can move on with their life. It has that feeling, and it has the feeling of like of a flop sweat, of just nervous. Someone's not gonna like you at a first date.
Brian,
those two feelings, that's that is the quality of the third act, and I don't know what happened.
Brian, it sounds like what you're describing is it sounds like cocaine in the 80s movie scene. Like that's what it
A little
has.
bit.
It's like someone doing a bump and being like, oh shit, okay, we got to wrap this up. What are we gonna do? Guys, it's 2:30 in the morning. This is gonna wear off soon.
Yes.
Like, what are we doing next with this?
Yes.
Like,
What was the beginning of the third act?
Basically, I would say the beginning of the third act is when they get back to the White House and they've put I don't know, not the White House, sorry, the hospital, when the leader steps in and he's like, I had to turn myself in.
Oh,
And you're like,
yes,
what?
yes. So
okay.
Brian, were you Tim Blake Nelson, right? For just a second? Because
that was
that was
uncanny, actually.
spot on.
Yeah.
Like, I had to turn
You're nice.
myself in.
So my problem with this movie is I think you probably had a okay introduction to a Marvel villain, but all that they had to do to get taken down was to turn themselves in, which was anticlimactic. Like I feel like you didn't get as much as out of the leader as you really needed to, and almost felt so. You have a few characters, a couple at this current moment. I would even say 3 because Agent Taylor, I liked Agent Taylor in there, but I was trying to see what the role. Stop saying that shit. I was trying to figure out what the role she was meant to play in there was. And then you have that same with who's the lead security person that had a suit that went through the that Doug says was 14-year-old. What was her character's name?
Ruth.
So you have Ruth, you have Agent Taylor, and then you have the leader. These characters all while Sam and Joaquin and Harrison Ford's character all got built up pretty well to give their story. You also had 3 characters who kind of got like cut short in the process. You know what I mean? 100%. So I think that was something. The balance of how you tell that story was not great.
Do you all go ahead, Brian?
No, I think like it's hard to balance this stuff, and I feel like it makes me appreciate like movies that can balance all these characters really well, because there were moments where it was like, we got Isaiah. All right, well, we'll check back on him later. We got Ruth, but Ruth what's Ruth doing? I don't know. Wait, Joaquin. Oh no, Joaquin's falling out of the sky. Like,
what's Ruru doing?
Like, it's hard to balance all this and make it focused and have it be this compelling mystery. Because like for me, there was not a mystery element to this movie. I feel like everything
they wanted this to be a thriller.
Well,
they wanted this to be a thriller, and it was not. Like,
it
was not. Here's what I'll say. Brian will know this. There's an episode of Arrested Development where they have to build a house, but they just build the outside of a house. And then they have an investor meeting. And they're like, look at the outside of this house. It's so great. We're going to ribbon cut the outside of this house. And then it all falls apart. And you're like, oh no, there's nothing on the inside. That is kind of what this was. And I think it's to Chris's point. They tried to do too much. There was too much going on. I would say overall, I enjoyed this movie. Like I thought it's an action movie. Like it's a blockbuster action movie that I thought was, I was going to say a 7 out of 10. Like I was going to say like, that's probably where I would put it. But I do think that there's some hanging chads in there that are a little like, what are we doing here? Like,
I liked Falcon. I think Joaquin and Falcon were done. I think they were
love their banter.
Well. I don't know if you mean maybe the Wolverine guy, the
Navy SEAL guy. I think
him. They said he was Demolition Man, but if it's him, he didn't seem like he was necessary.
Didn't look like Wesley Snipes. You said he was Demolition Man.
I kind of want to watch that now. Man, I appreciated the short runtime here, but the reason these Marvel movies are usually 2.5 hours is because they do need to like work through all this stuff.
Need to work through some shit. Yeah.
And I agree. It was like 3 or 4 comments ago. Like it's trying to do so much, but then so much gets cut. And so I agree. Like to the Ruth point, I don't think they could cut Ruth narrative wise. I think they would have had to reshoot more than half the movie. If
I think that there would have also been some.
I agree. Backlash,
some potential political issues if they had said,
I agree.
We're cutting the only We have a line in here
Yes.
that we really don't know how to rewrite because our cocaine has run out. So we don't know how to say she was in the red room without also adding that she was Israeli. Like,
Yeah,
you could have easily just said like, no, she trained in the red room. It's a big deal. That's all you had to
Right.
say, and then you could have moved on. But
I
they were like,
agree.
no, she's Israeli military.
Yes.
She trained in the red room. Like,
and it feels like
Everywhere.
and I know I brought up what the third act feels like. I didn't say why it feels like that. It
That's
feels
fine.
like that because you have spoilers. You have Red Hulk out the moment we've been waiting for, the
Mhm.
moment we saw in the trailers. So it's not really a surprise, which is fine. But then you start this battle, and then it almost ends as soon as it starts.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
not saying I need to like see Sam Wilson punched in the face, but like it did the same thing to an extent that Falcon and Winter Soldier did, of like someone who is writing
Big
for
speech.
Anthony Mackie. They're like, it's time for Anthony Mackie to tell us what to do. And I feel like I can't be the only one in the writer's room that's like, hey, he's a great actor. Maybe we could solve this more thematically or narratively rather than
No.
So how are we gonna beat him? He's gonna give a speech.
No. You know,
Right.
hey, you want to know what he's gonna do? He's gonna lecture us till we all go
Yeah.
home.
He's gonna
Fun.
talk. This isn't the
Okay.
right thing to do.
Which-
All right.
This is the meanest thing I'll say about this movie. On some of the worst green screen I have seen in
Yeah.
a Marvel project,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
which
That was
tells
real
me
rough.
it feels like you can feel the budget running out.
Yep.
And I feel for Anthony Mackie because this dude has to make this impassioned speech. He's got to believe to act, right?
Yep.
But he's got to know too. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here.
Brian, he better believe he's an executive
He's
producer.
an executive producer.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
He
So,
better
like,
believe.
You can just see the budget running out. You can so here's the other thing behind the scenes fact. There's a funeral scene that they filmed
Yeah.
that Liv Tyler was originally cast for. And the
Oh.
assumption is that this fight did happen and Red Hulk dies.
Yeah.
And the funeral is where all the stuff on the raft happens, and that's
Okay.
where you get Liv Tyler and you get everybody being sad. I don't know what to make of that, but I think he died and they already had all this stuff done. They're like, well, how do we fix this? They just took the fight of what they could, and then they gave Anthony Mackie the speech, which, yeah, it gets you over the finish line, but like it doesn't.
Yeah.
Man, I don't
Well,
know
that-
if it's. I don't know.
That would make sense where they cut the fight scene of like Steve. I mean, of Sam. They
Mhm.
both blow up and end up under rocks, and I'm like, oh well, yeah, for sure. Red Hulk or Sam is
Yeah.
dead because like
Someone
both-
is dead.
somebody should be dead, right? But because you explode him with like vibranium kinetic injury into his body, and then the other guy is just a human. It's a human black man getting tossed his ass around like a sack of potatoes. So like
A
somebody's
human black
dead
man.
for sure. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that would make
Opposed to an
sense why
alien
that
black
didn't
man.
feel organic as it should
Yep.
have. You know what I mean? I also
Yep.
think that they're going to bring Red Hulk back
I also think they are going
for
to bring
that
him
Dark
back.
Avengers team or whatever the
Boy.
fuck they name them.
It sure feels like they were in the middle of making this movie, and they're like, "Wait, you're gonna kill Harrison Ford, Red Hulk? No.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
do that."
We
Like,
have
It
plans.
feels like they all sat down for like their like family Sunday dinner while they're making the movie.
Yeah.
And Harrison goes like, I see why you guys like making these. These are kind of fun. And somebody gets out their phone and texts Kevin and said like, Harrison's having fun. It's like, fuck, rewrite it. Like rewrite all of it because he can't die now. Like
kid, I see why you like these movies.
these are a lot of fun.
This-
Like
I don't really have to do anything all day, just a mocap suit.
just hold on, my mom's texting me and cool. Tell me
Mhm.
again. You
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
fun, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Would you do it for another 50
would
mil?
you do it for another pot of money?
You don't have to do
Uh,
any press. You just have to scream into a CGI mocap suit.
Boom.
kid,
That's
you got
it.
yourself
All
a
you gotta do.
deal.
I'm
That's
in.
Should we talk about the post-credit scene?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, the post-credit scene is kind of uneventful in the sense where Leader tells us information we already have, which is like, there's other worlds you're gonna have to fight.
I've heard for 7 movies. Thank you.
I
He
think it's
And then he
so,
steps back into the darkness and kind
He's
of like
dis-
fades away.
He's
This
disgusting looking,
feels-
too.
This feels like a Parliament which is like the MCU, brain trust. This feels like a Parliament decision, a Feige decision, or an Iger decision. Because I don't believe this was in the original cut, or I can't get there, because it's just so. It feels like it feels like this is a post-credit scene that would have popped up in like Phase 4, or in the middle of Phase 5 for anybody keeping track. Like if this popped up and you're like, before Doctor Strange, if this would have popped up, you would be like, what? Like, well, what? But like, Mr. Leader, you have to understand as the viewer, I've seen a really hot witch lady interrupt Doctor Strange's like walk, and she said there's an incursion, and he went with her. So I know
into a different dimension.
Yeah, that's how you get STDs.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it is cool that he said incursions are coming, but for all of us reading like the writing on the wall, like
we knew that.
When? Like fucking when?
Is this like, I want to know the purpose of it. Is this so Sam knows, so it kickstarts the Avengers?
I think so.
Is this so that the audience is this so the audience is like, this is it, we're doing it,
we're getting in this? I think it's the staple for both. It's going to staple the fact that Sam needs the Avengers, and it's going to also staple Fantastic Four, and it's going to also staple Secret Wars. Like you against us. It's Robert Downey Jr. It's like, okay, this is where we're going. Here's the staple for sure.
Yeah.
Because it didn't say multiverse. This time they said there are other worlds that you'll have to defend.
Right.
Like you are going to have to defend. How are you going to defend against the other worlds? So like, oh, okay.
And I have to believe that we're at a point where Marvel knows they have to address something in Thunderbolts. I'm not saying like, and Chris, I see your comment. So this also gives the narrative juice so that Sam Wilson can start spreading the good word about multiverses.
Hallelujah.
I also feel like Thunderbolts is going. It feels like it's going to be a missed opportunity if this isn't addressed or mentioned or post-credits seen to some degree, because I fully believe some of the Thunderbolts are coming to Battle World. I fully believe that, if only to be cannon fodder. So
I think that I fully expect Thunderbolts to start with Bucky or Yelena or somebody watching a TV rundown of what's happening in Washington, D.C. And that's why when somebody says we're the Thunderbolts, somebody goes, don't fucking call us that. Like, that is like calling us. That's calling us neoconservatives. Please don't call me that. Like, it's just like you know what I mean? Like, it's a bad example, but it's like
because of Thunderbolt Ross. Yeah,
it's like, like, don't associate me with that. Don't associate me with that in public, because they want to be seen as the next Avengers. So they're trying to push away from that.
Honestly,
so
yeah.
Or that's the whole reason why Julia Louis-Dreyfus goes to Congress. She says, look, the president turned into a rage monster and you had nobody. Let me help you out here.
I want to tell you that I started laughing in my theater. I was the only one laughing when Harrison Ford hulked out and all of the Secret Service just started clip dumping on him.
Yeah.
Absolute comedy. Having the people that protect the president. Like, there's a Hulk, just shoot it. Like,
That's
wait, it's the president. Just shoot it.
We don't care. Yeah.
Like
Marcus.
Just wild.
For sure.
Marcus, do you remember what I called Team Assalamualaikum? Do you remember who I called that? I called somebody that in the middle of the theater, and you were very disappointed in me.
I honestly I can't remember. You gotta prepare yourself. You're going on a live broadcast to put this out about yourself with no context.
I mean, it was a funny moment.
I forgot what I forgot what it was. I kept
trying to I kept trying to be like for it, like in the middle of the movie.
Trying to be like woke for like Black History Month, and he
Marcus, Sam Wilson would say something, and Marcus would start to put his fist up, and I'd be like, "Yeah, me too." And then Marcus would go, "Like, no, not you.
Not you.
Like, no, not here. Like, not for this one.
No, here.
I can't even remember what you called. No, I can't.
I don't even remember. Anyway,
you just brought that up so randomly. Man.
7 out of 10.
Brian is so confused. He's like,
I know. I think I get it.
Brian, you have to see a movie with with us in our
I
theater
know.
seats in Vermilion.
I really
There's,
do.
there's something about those 3 seats in that handicap section that just brings out the worst in us.
No, to pick up your thread, so we'll finish this review. I think this is a fine entry into the
Yeah.
MCU. I'm gonna go a little bit higher. Connected with me. I'm gonna
Go
say it's like
fuck
an 8 out of it's a 7.5 out of 10. This is fun and enjoyable. It's not gonna break a ton of ground, cinematography wise. But if you enjoy the MCU, you will enjoy this movie.
You just randomly said that shit with no context.
I know.
You are gonna fuck yourself.
I'm bringing this train into the station.
Nope, not me. We're past 90 minutes. I'm not bringing anything anywhere. Marcus, where'd you put this?
Good gracious. I gave it a. Oh, we're ranking shit now. Oh,
No, like it's like 7 out of 10. I said like 7. Brian said 8.
7.5.
I'll give you a 7.5. I did want to rewatch it immediately. Like I think it's
That's
an easy movie to consume, so I'll give you a 7.5.
Yeah,
that's
which I have more on that for another podcast episode because we're way past the 90-minute monster. But yeah.
Brian, fuck it. We got so say it, man. Just lay it
No,
on
the last thing I'll say is that this
podcast.
movie feels very much tuned to the announcement, or not the announcement, but the report that Netflix makes movies for people to watch with their phone.
Yeah.
And there was a moment in this movie, and I can't remember the exact dialogue, but the dialogue in this movie was off to me. Like it could have been sharper. And I don't know why it wasn't sharper. I've seen Anthony Mackie act really well with sharper dialogue. I don't know why we couldn't have done that for him. Anyway, but some things were repeated. Some things were expositioned to death. There was a lot of telling in this movie. And at that point, I was like, are they making this movie with the idea that it will go to streaming and they want people to engage with it and knowing they're going to have their phone? Are they pre-planning this into the theater release so that when it pops up on streaming, you can follow along when you hear Sam Wilson say, we got to go to Tiamat because that's made of adamantium or whatever. And you're like, well, I already knew that. But that's how some media is being made so that when people have their phone out, they can still follow along. So I don't know.
A small percentage of conspiracy theorist in me goes, yeah, I could see that. I do worry about that level of conspiracy theory because what does that say then about the director? You know what I mean? Like, what does that say about, like, is it fair to say the director who this was his big break at getting a Disney movie? Like, sorry, buddy, you're just fodder for the machine. Like, and that's just me pushing back and playing devil's advocate. I don't think that you're entirely wrong because I agree the dialogue was off, and this was a lot of telling, not showing, which is sort of the antithesis to movie making. But I think you're right. I worry about that slide.
I do think that there's like a template, like a Disney template that you give directors before they start writing. You even tell them before they even get to the writing, it has to be check. You got to check these boxes and have
be this long. It's got to cover this stuff.
Yeah.
And remember all that reporting on Endgame, they already had those action sequences built out a year or two before the Russos said they were doing it. So I'm not putting any of this on Julius Ono at all. I want to make that like very clear.
No, I think that's fair. Yeah.
Because I also know working for the Marvel
machine
complex and machine is difficult and decisions are made. So this is not about Julius Ono at all. I think he's a talented director. I enjoyed the Cloverfield paradox. So yeah.
Machines.
Thank you, Lawrence Fishburne.
You're very welcome. Gentlemen, what do you all have to plug this week?
I don't know, but I'm playing some music, so
do it. Hey folks, check out thelovenerds.com. You throwing a party? There's some great recipes there. We talked about buffalo wings. I really like buffalo wings. We talked about buffalo wings last week. So go there, check out some buffalo wings recipes at thelovenerds.com.
Absolutely. Marcus, what do you got?
You make sure that you follow the mantra. Never offended, always humble. You know what I mean? Make sure you follow the mantra. Never offended, always humble. Buy yourself some gear. Listen to some music. I don't have 2 screens, so I had to like click from the music to make sure it was playing. I can never tell if the music is playing or not. I don't.
It is. We can hear it. We can hear it.
We got the mantra. Listen to Soultye, Soultye. Listen to some Marcus J. Destin. More music is on the way, but follow the mantra. Never offended, always humble.
Absolutely. I want to plug this podcast podcast. Hey, if you enjoyed our discussion about Brave New World, I mean, is there only leading, not participating in? I want to make sure that distinction is clarified. Just starting. It's like I'm there to make sure it starts on time, and then I'm out of there. I say machines, and then I get in my car and I drive away. That's the way it works.
Machines is the key word for the lube machine to go.
I go machines. All right, let's get the fuck out of here. Like, but if you enjoyed our discussion about Brave New World, recommend this to a friend or a family member. Best way to grow the podcast. If you're feeling generous, head over to patreon.com/films in black and white. Sign up for one of our tiers there. Would very much appreciate it. We have a 3-step process to success. Brian, what is that first step?
Hey folks, I am here to tell you to read a book, but I'm gonna go rogue here, and I'm just gonna say wash your hands. Like, we're at the end of flu season.
Yeah.
One of my
Good
kiddos
call.
has been sick for 5 weeks, like
Jesus
with
Christ.
something various. He
no.
got another thing today. We got more antibiotics. He's gonna be fine.
He's going to survive the apocalypse.
Yeah. Anyway, wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Please. And while you're at it, drink some water. If you feel sick, water helps make you feel better. You like to get your fluid intake up, make you feel better.
Yep.
So yeah, agreed. Then number 3.
Make sure you wash while you wash your hands, wash your ass, but then wash your ass and then wash your hands. You know what I mean? Make sure you cover all bases. Get up under your fingernails too as well, because if you're biting your fingernails and all that kind of stuff like that, you ain't doing nothing but just like, you know, recycling germs. So make sure you wash your ass, get a new towel, get some new soap, but whatever you do, wash your ass, baby.
Absolutely. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for all the folks in the chat for participating. Love the conversation. Love y'all being here. Hey, we will be back next week with another fantastic episode of Films of Black and White. But in the meantime, in the between time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We'll catch y'all next week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
You know what? Parker asked me to talk about the Tinkerbell movie, the Pirate Fairy. I didn't bring that up, so I'll have to bring that up next time.
Is he an avid? Brian, do you let him be an avid listener? Is that how this works?
I got it.
He
I hope
has
not.
listened. He has listened before.
Harrison has heard his name in the car and go, "Don't talk about me!" Like I'll just get shouted at from the back. Like,
Do we
why are
gotta
you
pay
talking
them?
about me?
Do we gotta pay them every time?
Probably.
I mean, I feed them.
Probably.
That's
I didn't
enough.
even think about it. We should talk to them about that.